4th chapter. So let us start our discussion on the 5th chapter, which is there in your syllabus. So this is a syllabus of your 5th chapter. So it is more of related to the ethical decision making, right? We all know about decision making, and we are very good in that, and we already understood like decision making this is a primary skill which is required for all the professionals, especially in a professional setup, right? It is equally important for your personal life, but yes, it has a great impact on your professional life also. So in this lecture we will discuss something which is related to decision making, of course, yes, but how ethically we can take decisions, or how we can make our decisions ethical. What is mean by ethical decision making? What is expected by and when you are taking any ethical dilemma is there in your mind, and what is the framework of ethical decision making and other things. So as I said, like, yes, ethical dilemma and different functional areas of business, that is, we will discuss something, 1 or 2 examples, fine, related to finance, marketing, HR, and international business. So this is your syllabus. And the 3rd point will be intellectual property rights and business ethics. And the 5th one, that is ethical challenges for managers, ethical challenges making process and its model, that is STEP model, and plus filter model. So this is your syllabus for 5th chapter. So let us discuss. Okay, fine. As it is written there, like, first we will need to understand what is ethical dilemma. What is mean by dilemma? Okay, so it is a complex situation. Okay, ethical dilemma is a complex situation where ethical principles and values are in conflict. Now, most of the time, you might be wondering or might be surprised when we were, I'm giving lectures and especially related to on this particular topic, there are many times I have this question in my mind, like whatever we are discussing in the class, whether it is possible to apply all these things in our practical life. Probably you might be thinking on a similar line, because there are so many situations, so many conditions in our life, fine, where we are in dilemma, and the situations are so complex, right? This situation is not simple. Like, life is not simple, we all know. And in your professional life also, there are so many dilemmas, so many complicated things you might be facing, and then you will going through, or you will go through very, very difficult kind of, or a complex kind of situation, where if you ask me to narrate it in one line, so in Hindi mein jisko hum bolte ki hila ke rakh diya, that kind of situation. Just think about it. I'm not talking about day-to-day life and decisions like we are used to, and we are, as a professional, we are taking. There are certain things, there are certain situations in which, like, okay, our own principles of life. I'm not talking about principle that is director and principles, our values are in conflict, and we are in dilemma, like whether we are right, or should I follow my own value system, should I think about my own principles, and there is a conflict in our mind. एक जंग छिड़ जाती है अंदर कहीं ना कहीं, in your mind, in your thought process, you are thinking about that, and there are a lot of dilemma in your mind. And then you ask this question to yourself, and you keep on asking this kind of questions to yourself. I have some duties, of course, but to whom do I have a duty? Whether I should consider me, myself, my family, my friend, my workers, my investors. Should I think about consumers, or should I go for future generation? And so on and so forth. So these kind of questions, and that's what I said, like, okay, a major complicated situations in which, like, you are asking questions and you are answerable to yourself, and then you need to convince yourself, rather you need to console yourself, no bacha, you are on the right track, come on, this is your principle, these are your values, value system, or this is your value system, or these are your values. Abhi tak to you are working accordingly, and you are getting good results, or maybe you paid some price for that, but yes, I'm getting inner satisfaction because since I follow my principles and value system. So this is what we are thinking about or discussing about, that what is fair or justice resolution. Is fairness or justice based on everyone receiving equal share, or more to those who merit or have earned it? This is again very important. Most of the time, see, most of the time when uh, we are thinking about justice, nyay. So we always feel like, what is it fair? Like, okay, I'm working hard, as an employee. Sometimes it comes in your mind, maybe like, okay, I'm working hard and I'm earning my, I'm investing my heart and soul in this organization, and then somebody else or someone else is receiving good share of benefits, so the profit is going to them. This is very natural. Don't feel ashamed of, don't feel guilty about that. It is very, very natural. And then to whom, whom should give, whom should given the market share, or the share of the profit, or this kind of benefits, or the profit can be shared with those particular individuals. So there is a question mark. There is a question mark. And this is what we call ethical dilemma. Like, what I'm getting, I'm not getting anything for that. I'm not getting anything for my special efforts. Nobody recognized my, efforts. Nobody is thinking about on these lines. So this is what, ethical dilemma kind of a situation. Moving ahead, the ethical dilemma is a situation with uncertainty about what is right to do from a moral or an ethical perspective. Because see, many times, see, my principle and my value system is providing a different kind of direction, uh, and practically or operationally it is expected that I should do something else. For example, the managers of a company may be put in the position in which he must choose between the interest of the employees and his investors, and give more profit or increase the salary. So to whom I should give, like, to whom I should consider, my employees or my investors? Because if, as I said, like, okay, to whom should I share that profit or the part of that profit with? This can be the, situation. As I said, like, okay, you have certain principles, you have certain value system, fine. And according to you, these are this, to follow those system or follow that system is it being ethical. But in practically, when you apply or when you work in any organization or when you are working with people, there's a question mark. Should I, should I listen to my heart, or should I listen to my brain? दिल की सुनूं या दिमाग की, that kind of, कश्मकश, that kind of conflict is there. और हम लोग बोलते हैं कि हमेशा दिल की सुनो, because दिल is always right. He will give you a right direction. But दिल की सुनो means what? Your principles, your value system, you follow the way you look at the things, the way you consider your own definition of your own life. But many times, in and around us, like in a society, we feel like, okay, that person is not at all working, that person is not having that much caliber, and he is my boss, or he is working as a, or people, they treat him as like a hero or a celebrity. So there is like, okay, there is kashmakash, or there is a conflict in your mind, and that is what ethical dilemma means. So let us understand the definition of ethical dilemma. A new, one more example. A new technology is being launched. This is a question for you. Just I'm not expecting any answer. Just think about your answer and think whether you are right or wrong, because you are a better judge. A new technology is being launched, which is good for the company as well as for the customers. But if is this brought into use, a lesser manpower is required for the organization. Now, as an entrepreneur, this is an ethical dilemma, whether he or want to be, want to better his, please his clients, or better his clients with good service, or be loyal to his employees who have helped the company grow. The unpleasantness of the situation arises when neither the clients nor the employee deserve to suffer, and it is the entrepreneur's call to take. So such kind of incidences are, or we can say that many such kind of incidences are happening in our life, in our working life, in our professional life. So this is what we call ethical dilemma, when both two or more options are available, fine, and they are equally important, and you feel like, okay, you need to choose all the options, but in reality you need to, or you're supposed to choose only one option. That is what, at that point of time, you just imagine, or I'm sure that everyone, those who are here, might have gone through or might have experienced this. Okay, this is a message which I received from, of course, about WhatsApp, on my WhatsApp. So this is a situation, and I think this is very apt situation for today's discussion. So I said, like, okay, let us discuss with the students. So Shweta covered a distance of 10 kilometers in 1 hour. This is one situation, fine. And Akash covered the distance in 1.5 hours, the same, 10 kilometers distance. So the question is, which of the two is faster and healthier? Obviously, you will choose Shweta, because she covered the distance in 1 hour. Now, if additional information is given to you, what if we say that the Shweta covered this distance on a prepared track while Akash did it by walking on the sandy path? Now your answer is, again, it will change, and then our answer will be Akash. When the some extension of the same thing, like, okay, I'm giving you some additional information, that but when we come to know that Shweta is 50 years old while Akash is 25 years old, then our answer will be Shweta again. But we also come to know that Akash weight is 140 kg, while Shweta's weight is only 65 kg. Again, our answer is, or will be, Akash. As we learn more about Akash and Shweta, our opinion and judgments about who is better will change. The reality of life is also similar. The reality of life is also similar. We form opinions very superficially and hesitantly, due to which we are not able to do the justice to ourselves and to the others. So what is our learning from this particular story or this particular narration? That opportunities vary, life is different, resources different, problem changes, solutions are different. Therefore, the excellence of life is not in comparing with anyone, but in testing oneself. So this is, I think I like this. And then I said, like, yes, these kind of dilemmas are always there in our mind. We always feel like, who is better, why he is better, why. But when we come to know the realities of people, and when we come to know the realities of the situation, then our answer may be changed. So as it is written there, that when faced with a difficult ethical dilemma, we need ethical decision making ability to resolve it. Why we want, why there is a need for ethical decision making? Because this kind of situation, right? To handle this kind of situation, or to face this kind of situation, we want to develop those abilities, or that ability, or those skills, to make our decision or more ethical. And then we should give justice to the people, or we should give justice to the situation, or that we will give the best solution to solve the conflict like situation. So this is, there is a why there is a need for ethical decision making, because it helps one determine the right course of action. Like, okay, just now we discussed about Shweta and Akash. So, and if superficially, if we are thinking about, or if we are making decisions on only on the basis of very basic information about them, fine, and then our decision maybe might be wrong. So it is not accepted. We want that kind of skills to develop, or the abilities to develop, so that we can make ethical decisions, and we can determine, or we can decide the right course of action, or we can do the right things to the what is right in that particular situation. and also enables ones to analyze whether another decisions or actions or others decision or another's decisions or actions are right or wrong. See, what is decision making? We all know, right? Selecting the best alternative amongst the available alternatives. So that is what decision making is all about. But what is ethical decision making? Of course, here also we are trying to select the best alternative, but but according to us, we will use our brain, we will use our experience, and we are using those abilities to select the best or the right course of action. Best alternative, right alternative. So this is the difference between ethical decision making and decision making. Is it clear? Yes. So what is ethical decision making? We are making right decisions, what is right course of action or right alternative we are selecting, and on the basis of, or we are making decisions on the basis of what is right or good. जो अच्छा है, सही है, we will select that that particular option. That is what ethical decision making is. Okay, so moving to the next slide, or the next point of our discussion is ethical decision making is a cognitive process. Now, what is cognitive process? We all know that is, it is a thought process, or which happens in your maybe inner psychological compartment of you, like you are thinking and then you are making decisions. So cognitive process, it is a thought process or it is thinking process of an individual, and which considers various ethical principles, that is rule, virtues, or the maintenance of relationship to guide or the judge individual or group decisions or intended actions. So ethical decision making, of course, the first characteristics of that is it is a cognitive process. ये cognitive thought process है, fine. And while making ethical decision making, like you need to consider different principles, different rules, different virtues. On the basis of this, then only you are able to make the right decision. That is, right decision is equal to ethical decision making. And it is based on, sometimes we are giving more importance to the relationships, sometimes we are giving more importance to the judgment, like what is right, what is law, or what is compulsory to maintain that particular relationship. So here, yes, we are giving importance to the relationship, and at the same time we are giving, we are considering the judgment, like okay, that kind of thing. Okay, nyay jisko hum log bolte. Yes, we want to give judgment to on that, and it is based on, not only based on my gut feeling. No, it is not based on your gut feeling, but yes, it is like you are primarily you are concerned and you are conducting research, and you recheck and recheck and recheck, and then you can go for it. So that kind of decision making. Now, ethical issues and intensity, individual factors and organizational factors and opportunities. So these four factors will decide like how professionally you can take or I'm talking about business ethics now. So profession or business ethic, evaluation and intention. So your business ethics are, these four factors affects on your business ethics, and the way you evaluate the things, or the way you evaluate your own decisions and ethical or unethical behavior. Now we will discuss one by one. Fine. Now, what is mean by ethical issue intensity? Now, what is mean by ethical issue intensity? How that particular decision is so important to you? What is the intensity? What is the intensity or degree of intensity? So that is more important. So it can be defined as the relevance or the importance of the ethical issue in the eyes of the individual, work group, and for organization. How that thing is very important for you, whether these things are very important or whether these things are casual. Okay, fine, I'm taking decisions, but it's okay. Like, okay, that's not so important. So what is more important? The intensity of that particular decision, or intensity of being right at that point of time, in your business. So ethical issue intensity, now it reflects what the ethical sensitivity of the individual or a work group. Now, if you're so sensitive, you are so sensitive towards ethics. Otherwise, if you're not considering, or if you are not considerate, like, okay, whether I'm right or wrong, you don't bother. Like, okay, I'm always right. If you have that kind of mindset, okay, so you are less sensitive about the ethical part of your decisions. You will not consider only. You will feel like, okay, karna hai, what I feel I must do, that kind of thing. So I'm less sensitive, and I'm less sensitive towards the ethical aspect of your decisions. Why should I bother whether my employee will be, will be benefited or should be benefited, or should I consider my employees? I'm not thinking about that. I'm just making what is good for my organization. If it is bad for others, it's okay. If it is not ethical according to you, I have to do, because because somebody is giving you directions. So that is what we consider that ethical issue intensity. If it is that intensity is more, then probably you will consider or you will rethink, as I said, about the right or wrong, about that, what means, like, okay, ethics, whether it is ethical or not. If your that intensity is not high, or if it means you are not involved much in that decision, or you don't bother, like, whether you are right or whether it is good or bad or something. आप उतना सोच ही नहीं रहे हो. आप क्या सोच रहे हो? Okay, fine, I need to take decisions. So if your intensity is less, so you will be less involved. And since you are less involved in this particular process, fine. So you will not evaluate, or you will not take your efforts or put your efforts to evaluate whether it is you are doing your profession, or you are you are considering your business as an ethical business or not. I don't bother, because I am not, my intensity or my involvement is less. Moving ahead to the individual factor. Now, what is individual factor? So gender. So research said, like, women are generally more ethical than men. This is not my finding, or I have not created this slide. This research said, this is based on some research. Education and work experience, the more education or work experience that one has, the better he or she is at ethical decision making. Because see, this is again a question of, or you might be having different opinion altogether. But yes, by and large, people, they think like this, because it is expected that with education, some kind of wisdom should be developed. Whether it is developed, not developed, whether education and wisdom has any relation, correlation, or something, you need to find out. But yes, people, they do believe. Because people believe, like, okay, you are educated means what? You are well read, you are well versed, and you are more experienced. If it is like you are more experienced and you are more educated, and then I'm talking about work experience here, fine. So they are making, or they are able to make ethical decision making. This is what is expected. Then nationality, the culture appears to be significant in effect of ethical decision making. So nationality. Now, what is nationality? As we, in first few lectures, we discussed Indian ethos. Why we discuss Indian ethos? Because culture in which you are born and brought up, it has a great impact on your belief system, on your value system. And it will decide, okay, this is very individualistic factor, which will decide whether you will behave ethically or not. Or according to Indian ethos, like, this is right, or according to Indian ethos, this decision is an ethical decision. So what will be the base of your, on which you will decide, like, whether your decisions are ethical or not ethical? That is, all these factors, that is gender, education, nationality, your income. Most of the time we feel or we believe, like, if you are more wealthy, आपके पास बहुत पैसा है, तो you are less ethical. So that's what this is what in this way or in this pattern people they think. So individual factors has a connection with what, with the profession or business ethic evaluation and intentions. Moving ahead, the next, as I said, like age, how the older you are, the more ethical you are, because we respect people by their age. This is what our culture is. Like we respect people by their age. We salute, we respect people like in those who are those who are elder to us, and we give respect. Why that respect? Because we believe that maturity and experience and wisdom come with the age. This is what we believe on. But at the same time, if we compare this thought process with the Western kind of or Western management, so those people, they believe on like you need to prove your credibility or you need to prove your abilities and other things. So age, but yes, this is what we believe. So we will go with our own thought process that yes, the older you are, the more ethical you are. Now, what is locus of control? This is a belief, like, okay, this is a belief or individual belief, like where people, they think that I'm governed by, or I have controlled by some external factors. I don't have any control on my life. Fine. Whereas like some people, like they do believe like, no, they're more confident and they believe like, okay, I can control the things which are happening in my life. So that is locus of control. So external control or versus internal control. So the people or the individuals, those who believe on external control, see themselves as going with a flow because that all they can do. भगवान ऐसा करता है, okay, my karma is like that, और मेरा नसीब ही खराब है, that kind of people, or people they use such kind of things, or they have that kind of belief system. So they believe like, okay, they are controlled by some external power. But internal control wale kya sochte? They believe that they control the events in their life by their own efforts and skills. They are more confident, as I said. So these are some individual factors which will decide what profession or business ethics evaluation and intention. So it will decide like, okay, whether you are you will take your profession seriously, or whether according to you, your business, or you want to run your business in very ethical way. So moving ahead, that is organizational factors. Okay, so you are working in any of the organization, so organization's value system, because since, as I said, like, okay, you are a part of a large organization, and then you individually, you have your own belief system or your value system. But if your organization insists you to behave unethically or to follow certain things like which is not in your purview, or which is against your principles and value system, or against your ethics, then, but even though it has a great power, or organization, they have a power to influence your thought process. It is written there that yes, organization values often have greater influence on decisions than a person's own values. Isn't it? The more ethical employees perceive an organization's culture to be, the less likely they are make unethical decisions. Like if your organizations or the values or the culture of your organization is ethical, fine. And the people or the people, those who are working in that organization, if they feel like, okay, my organization is ethical, this is what our culture is, and then I supposed to work, or I supposed to adjust myself. This is adjust is a right word, like, okay, you need to adjust with the organizational culture, because everybody, those who join that organization, they come or they join organization and they bring their own culture to that organization. but ultimately it is you like who will decide on. You need to decide like, okay, what is my organization and what is my its culture is all about. So if your organization culture is positive, then definitely you will change your value system, or you know uh, you will not behave unethical. Things will not be followed by you, or you will not make any unethical decisions. So this is what I mean by organization factors. Fine. Then opportunities. See, opportunity. Now, what is this? Is a last point. What is opportunity? That opportunity describe the conditions in an organization that limits or permit ethical or unethical behavior. So these kind of, see, opportunities are many. Fine. And conditions may vary, as I said, like, okay, you will face, or your organization may face different situations. And some situations are so complex that it will create or it will put you under pressure, or it will limit your uh, you know limit your thought process, or will not permit you to be ethical or to be unethical. You're getting my, kuch to opportunities aise honge. Because of those opportunities means here, like, okay, it describes conditions. Hum log bolte ki this is a good opportunity for me. Now what is mean by great good opportunity for me? That the working condition or the condition is favorable for me. It is a favorable condition for me. You're getting my point? So where it is, when we are thinking about me, it is same thing for organization. So sometimes the situation is favorable for your organization, and then because it may be favorable, it may not be favorable. If it is favorable, then which permits you like, okay, to be ethical. Because sab अच्छा अच्छा हो रहा है, everything is goody goody, and everybody is goody goody, then it is easy for that organization to, or that person, or any individual to be right or to be ethical. But when that you are facing adverse conditions, or your organization is facing adverse conditions in their, in the lifespan or the life cycle of that organization, so it's very difficult for them to be ethical. So opportunities are the conditions which provides rewards, good returns. Okay, if it is rewarding, or if it is, as I said, like if it is positive, then the organizations may go for ethical decisions. But if it is not, yes, somebody wants to say something. Okay, Sahib, Sahib, can you put your mic off? Please tell him keep his mic on. Hello. Hello. Roll number 33519. Sahib Tupsaminder. Please mute yourself. Thank you. So this is what opportunity means. Like, okay, it depends on the conditions, and these four factors will decide like whether you will make, or whether you will choose to be ethical, and 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 your behavior will be ethical or not ethical. So all these four factors, I'll summarize our discussion. That ethical issues intensity, like, okay, if that particular decision, or if it is so important for you to be being ethical, fine, in that situation, fine. So this is the first factor which affects on your behavior. The second factor, that is, okay, you as an individual. So your age, your education, your social status, your your culture, your you as a person. So there are so many things like, okay, or individual factors are related with your ethical or unethical behavior. Moving to the next point, that is organization factors or organizational factors. Like, yes, you're working in that in one of the organization, or in that organization, if they believe on culture, if they believe on their own value system, if they believe on right things or a good things, or they if they follow all these things, then of course you will be, your behavior will be ethical, or the people or the professionals, those who are working in that organization, their behavior will be ethical. Then opportunity, as I said, the conditions, okay, if the conditions are favorable for you or for your organization, then your natural decisions are, or your natural behavior is like, okay, you will behave ethically. But if the conditions or the things which are not positive, which are which are negative, so your behavior or may not be we will not guarantee that your behavior is ethical. So these are 4 factors or 5 factors which affects or which will decide you whether your behavior will be ethical or not ethical. As we all feel like, okay, I want to be, बहुत common hai ye ki like people they give this justification like the situation is not good or the conditions are not good, and because of that I'm not able to behave ethically. Or I can observe like so many people, they are behaving they behave unethical and they reach to the heights of their career, or they are minting money and they are getting all the comfort in their life, and because of that I change my value system or my principle, and now what I am. So it depends on so many things whether that person will behave ethically or not, or how he will make decisions, whether he believe on ethical decisions or whether he will take ethical decisions or he will adjust. Again I said like, okay, this is very appropriate word, like whether he will do adjustments in his life and he will compromise on his decisions. So let us understand what is how anybody, if at all, like, okay, if anybody wants to make ethical decisions, so how to make ethical decisions. So ethical decision means to solve ethical dilemma, because we, as I said, like, okay, you have 2 or more opportunities or 2 or more alternatives, they are with you, fine, and then you need to select only one, and you are in the dilemma. You are in ethical dilemma, which requires a trained sensitivity to ethical issues and a practical method for exploring the ethical aspects of a decision. So this is there. So train sensitivity, like you must be sensitive, right? Sensitive towards the things which are happening in your environment. If you are insensitive, see, हम लोग बोलते हैं कि इतना सह चुका हूं कि now I don't feel anything. So you reach to that particular stage. You means not you. We are talking about individuals. If any individual reach to that particular stage, like in which he or she is insensitive, then no dilemma, no ethical dilemma. They will behave like whatever is right for them. They will not think whether I'm right or wrong. So no dilemma in their mind because they are insensitive. So what is more important, like if you want to make ethical decision, so first condition is like you must train sensitivity towards ethical issues. You must follow it, and a practical method for exploring the ethical aspects of a decision. See, most of the time we feel like, अरे कहाँ वो पुराना चीजें लेके बैठा है, whether why you are thinking about ethical, whether ethical, not ethical, whether you are right or why you are not, or bad or good, or that kind of scenario. Forget about that, all these things. So what is more important, because people they give advice to you like, okay, ऐसा चलता नहीं है, practically which is not good, or practically which is not correct, that kind of thing. So having a method of ethical decision making is absolutely essential. So you need to follow some methods, or you need to follow or create your own method to take or to make ethical decisions. And as we already discussed, that ethical decisions should be based on the ethical principles and codes rather than on emotions, thoughts, and fixed policies. Ethics are ethics. You can't compromise. You can't say like, okay, मैं 50% ethical हूँ. No. Whether it will be applicable to you or you will not be, it may not be applicable to you. Either you are right or wrong. You cannot say like, okay, I'm in between. Can't say kind of situation. No. ऐसा होता नहीं है. It should be based on principles and code of conduct. कल मैंने आपको समझाया था कि what is code of conduct. Rule book. तो उसके हिसाब से if you believe or you behave, then you are ethical. It should not be based on emotions like, okay, if I'm in recruitment and okay, so and so person is from my place, or I like this person, or how handsome he is, or how beautiful she is. So no, that kind of thought process. I'm joking, but yes, it is like, if it is based on your emotions, any decision which is based on your emotions or based on your individual thoughts, no. Can we call it as a ethical decisions? No. Because when you are under the influence of any kind of emotions, you may not think in a right way. This is what we all experience. Like किसी ने बोला है कि like you should not promise somebody when you are happy or sad, because you are under the influence of your emotions. Very different and very different kind of emotions, or a very opposite kind of emotions. Because both both the situation, you lose your control on your thoughts or control on your speech. Very few people, they are able to control their speech, or they can control their mind in these two situations, or this type of situation, when you are very happy or you are very, very, very sad. So according to this, like making ethical decisions, like, okay, it should be based on principles and values and codes. Or jaise maine bola ki, okay, there is no in between. Whether it will be black or white. It should not be gray, or it will not be gray. So making, next stage, that is the framework or an overview. Okay, there are certain 9 steps we can talk about or we can discuss. Fine. Like how, if you want to make good ethical decisions, so kaun sa framework hai, kaun se step you need to follow. So first very important step, that is, we all know, that is describe the problem. The second step, that is determine whether there is an ethical issue or an unethical or an ethical dilemma. Step 3 is identify the rank, the key values and principles. Step 4, that is gather your information. Step 5, that is review any applicable code of conduct. Step 6 is determine the options. Step 7, that is select the course of action. Step 8, put your plan into action. And step 9, that is evaluate the result. So this is the framework or the overall framework of, if anybody wants to go for ethical values. So one by one we will discuss. So step 1 is describe the problem. It is very, very important, or it is very much mandatory that people, they should describe the problem or understand the problem, or the intensity of that problem at actual. What is the actual problem? Because if we are not able to understand the problem, or if you are not able to analyze the problem in a right way, or as I said, the intensity of that problem, or if we are confused, so your actions will not be appropriate. So you must ensure what actual problem is, and a moral dilemma that needs to follow an ethical model. Not only problem. So when problems are there, you are searching for alternatives. So first is identification of problem or describing the problems, and then you are searching for alternatives. So when you are thinking or searching for alternatives, there may be a situation that you will get a lot of alternatives to solve that particular problem. There are many ways and means, and we all know that, like, yes, there are so many ways and means to solve that particular problem. But in that, because since you have a lot of alternatives, there are moral dilemma. What I see, how I, I'm creating or establishing the link between all these things. First, okay, you need to understand the problem, in a right perspective. Very important. That what is my problem or what is our problem? Here we are talking about the steps to take ethical decision making. Okay, so first is like, okay, you need to identify the problems, and as I said, like whenever as an individual, as an organization, or as an entrepreneur, or as a startup person, whenever there is a problem, you are trying to solve or trying to find out different alternatives to solve that particular problem. And you are, when you are in search, हम लोग उसको search कर रहे हैं, you are in search, you may get different, as I said, like ways and means or different alternatives. Not only one alternative, you may get n number of alternatives. और जब n number of alternatives are known to you or understand, or it will, a lot of options in short, when you have, fine. So you are in your moral dilemma. इसीलिए आप कंफ्यूज हो जाते हो ना, whether it is right, what is right and what is wrong. And in that condition, like, okay, we all are under moral dilemma, like we are not able to decide. And that this is the right situation, like, okay, we need to follow the ethical model because we are confused, or whether we feel lost, or we are not able to decide what is right or what is wrong. Ethical decision making matlab kya? Like, okay, you are according to your principles, or according to the principles and the value system, you need to select the best alternative. जैसे मैंने बोला था कि right alternative, आपको right alternative choose करना है, good, the best, और the एकदम से सही alternative. That is what और वो उसका base क्या होना चाहिए, आपके or ethical values or the principles. Fine. So next point, that is consider the nature of the problem and any signs of the problem, or ensure that you are attempting to solve the issues and not just its sign. Very important thing. Like most of the times we are nervous, most of the times we are confused, because most of the time we are dealing with the symptoms of that particular problem. We are confused between problem and symptoms, or the problems and the symptoms. You're getting my point? Like, okay, if when you go and when we visit doctors and they'll ask, kya ho raha hai? And then we keep on explaining about, like, yahan pe thoda sa kuch ho raha hai, yahan pe kuch ho raha hai, this is this, this is that. You feel like, okay, you are explaining the problem, your real problem. Fine, but you are explaining the symptoms. And based on your descriptions on symptoms, that doctor understood your problem because he is expert in that particular domain. But we as a person, we as a professional, we need to we always feel like, okay, array cell kam ho raha hai. I'm talking about professional problem, or I'm talking about, okay, organizational problem. Like our market share is getting lesser day by day, and we are confused. So this is just a reflection of something. This is just a symptom of something. Sil kam ho raha hai, that is not a problem. You must try to understand that what is the reason for which or because of which your cells is going down. So what is at this particular stage we need to understand. I'll sum up, like you need to understand what is your problem, or you need to identify the correct problem and not symptom, or it will help you to solve that problem and not you are not giving treatment. Make sure that you are not giving treatment to the symptoms. The second very important thing, like, okay, when problem is identified by the person, fine, he or she will search or try to search the alternative solutions to that problem. Now, when we are thinking about solutions and when we are getting more solutions, which will be or which can be helpful in that particular scenario, fine, or which will help us to solve our problems, jitne alternatives zyada honge, we are more confused. और जिसको हम लोग एक वर्ड या टर्म बोलते हैं, जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि moral dilemma, because all the alternatives they are equally capable or they will helpful or they'll help us to solve the problems, but many of them, they are not right according to you. Like if I want to get like my problem is like I am unemployed, employability, I'm searching for job. So I'm searching for a job, and then if I'm getting a lot of opportunities, like okay, I'm capable, mere paas matlab I'm capable education wise, and then I'm more experienced, I'm skillful and everything. So a lot of opportunities are available. But I'm selecting like, okay, but I want to work in this company. And the HR manager, if that person asks you like, okay, fine, but he will show like, okay, but your experience is not up to the mark, ma'am. And we are expecting these many years of experience, and then you are, there is, you are lacking somewhere. And in your, no, in your experience. And then if I ask you, so if I ask that person, then what is the solution to this problem, sir? So she said like, or he said like, he is suggesting me something which is not ethical according to me. Or I can say that which is unethical according to me. So there is a solution. There can be a solution to my problem, but according to me, this is not ethical or this is not right. Again, there is a dilemma. Should I go for it or should I lose that opportunity? If I, if I follow, then I may get that opportunity, but I will not get that satisfaction, or I will feel guilty because it is not right according to me. But if it is like, if I say no to this particular thing, then it may go against my principles or against my ethics. So such kind of dilemmas will be there or can be there. And we need to understand whom does the problem exist and what is the surrounding, where that problem is and what are the circumstances of that particular problem. Now the step 2, still we have 5 minutes, so I just want to continue with step 2, and then we will continue our discussion tomorrow. So determine whether there is an ethical dilemma. That is what we are discussing about. Why this dilemma is there? Because dilemma becomes ethical when the good or bad option seems to have moral components. That is privacy versus avoidance of harm, freedom versus safety. So dilemma become ethical, okay? Because since you have in your, in your dual mind, we can say, or a confused state of mind, and one option is good and one option is bad. Just now we discussed like, okay, if I get job in that organization, it is good for me and it is a good opportunity for me. So but fine, but if I choose it, then it is against my ethics. But both the options, they have some morality in that. Like as I said, like, okay, moral dilemma, like if I say no, like then the second option or the second opportunity may not give me, or it is incapable of giving me that much salary, which is the most important thing, or I can support my family, I can support my kids, I can support everybody at my home. So if I'm thinking about my family or my family well-being or the kids or their future, so it is ethical, like I need to accept it, and whatever is, like I need to compromise on my own principles. So both the options have some ethical or moral component, isn't it? लेती हूँ तो अच्छा है मेरे बच्चों के लिए because I'm getting good salary and other thing. But yes, at the same time, it may wrong on my personal ethics, or it is not according to my personal ethics. But yes, if I take it, it is good for my family. So both the options have some moral component. So terms of an ethical dilemma must be ethical in nature and not legal. Okay, if something is a law, you have to then have the ethical choices to follow the law or not. So most of the time, ethical decisions are based on some we can say that according to the law also we need to think about, and whatever is there in a law, it is when we say like it is a law, or these are the rules and regulations, or this is a law, you need to follow it. So law, most of the time, there are very few people, they believe like, okay, lawful decisions and ethical decisions are different. I'm leaving it to you. But yes, most of the time, most of the people, they feel, because jab law banaya gaya hai, I'm not talking about, you know, via media, or breaking that law, or using that law as per your convenience. So we are not considering this kind of situation, but yes, we are going a very idealistic situation. And then ideally, like, laws or rules are for the for they are beneficiary, or they're beneficial for the people, and keeping everybody's interest, or safeguard the interest of many people, laws and laws are created or made. So this is we in at second step of this, like, we need to determine whether uh, there is any ethical dilemma is involved in our ethical decision making process. So first, we are discussing the different steps, okay, of ethical decision making. So first step, like, is we must understand the problem, or the root cause of our problem. We should not think about the symptoms of that particular problem, or any problem, fine. Or the second step, we need to identify whether any ethical dilemma is involved in that, when we are searching for the solution. I'll just speak, or we will discuss something about third step, that at this particular time, identify and rank the key values and principles. As when we are making any kind of decision or a normal decision, so we are rating, as I said, evaluation of alternatives. So that can be the step. So here, the similar kind of thing, but here we are not thinking about alternatives. Here we are giving more importance to the values and principle, like whether, like, there may be different values, fine, and we need to check, like, which value is more important. As I said, like, whether I have certain principles in my life, fine, and at the same time I have certain value system or a belief system which I believe on, that is my personal thing. And when we say value system, so there are different or n number of values which can be included in that. So you need to prioritize your values. You need to prioritize your values. Like, sometimes you are in dilemma, as I said, like, okay, whether should I go and should I think about my organization, should I think about my customers, should I think about my employees, or should I think about overall society? But because sometimes your organization is producing something which may not be good for the for your customers, but yes, it is good for your organization. If you are able to sell, so it is good for you, but it is not, it is harmful for the overall health of the society, or overall health of that particular individual or your customer, what you call. So in that case, like, you need to understand, or you need to rank the key values and principle which can be considered, or which should be considered while making ethical decisions. um, okay, the last one, the next one, that is gather your information. So we will continue this discussion, because I think your next class is scheduled, so I just want to stop here. What we are discussing here, or what we discussed in today's class, like, yes, we are discussing about ethical decision making, fine, and we discussed one more important term, that is ethical dilemma. Like, when both the alternatives are equally important or equally ethical, then you need to and you need to choose only one. So that kind of situation will put you under ethical dilemma. So that is what we have discussed. Now we are discussing about if anybody wants to make ethical decisions, like, okay, it's a process, step by step approach can be followed by that individual, and we are discussing about the different steps, right? So we will continue our discussion tomorrow at the same time, like we will meet at exact at 7 and then we can conclude at 8:85. Thank you so much. Anything, any questions? Then otherwise I can leave. Any questions? No questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, dear. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am.